We have here with us Brian Blackham and Raymond Logan to talk about their work.
Hi, Brian. How you doing?
Good, Raymond. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you.
You know, I'm enjoying actually talking to somebody without a mask on, so this is good.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice not having to wear a mask.
Yeah.
And it's a bummer about the show, though.
It is.
Being canceled.
It's a bummer.
Yeah, it is a bummer because I enjoy doing it.
Yeah. Well, it's good to be able to see you, though, this weekend this way, though, Raymond. It's been a while.
Good to see you. Yeah, it has been a while.
Your work behind you, Raymond, looks fantastic. I haven't seen that live yet, nor the crayon.
They were going to make their debut at the show this coming weekend. And I was really hoping to bring them out into the sunshine and show them. But yeah, they haven't been. The VW is a 46 by 46 and the crayons is a 24 by 16.
Oh, good. It's nice to see your work scaled up.
Yeah, it's nice that you have a piece behind you.
Yeah, this is a new guy that I was hoping to bring as well. But
yeah, I know.
This is easier, though, for people to see it from the Beverly Hills area. It's easier for me to do it this way. It's less effort.
Yes, it is. You don't have to throw it in the van and bring it down a couple of states. Yeah.
No driving involved.
No driving. Well, I'm local to the show, but I still complain about having to drive. You know, it's something to complain about.
Yeah, but there's no traffic right now, so it's easy.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Getting to Beverly Hills isn't too bad from Glendale. Have you been painting during the off time?
Yeah, a little bit.
Everybody's been asking me that. Are you painting? And well, as artists, that's what we do anyways. So.
Has it changed your relationship to the process and your thinking?
No, it hasn't, because I still go out to the studio every day. I'm still able to get supplies. So I was kind of prepping for a gallery show anyways, and so I just kind of kept working on that. How about you? Has it changed your processes or anything like that?
You know, actually, it has just a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in a good way, actually, I think. I don't know, we'll see what work comes from it, but because everything is canceled, I work with a couple galleries, their doors are shut.
Yeah.
I feel like, wow, I want to be careful on the way that I phrase this because it could sound wrong, but it's taken some pressure off on the preciousness of it, where it's not that I don't care, but it feels like I don't have to hurry and finish anything right now.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah, I can push it a little bit longer, it's like taking some pressure off. So it's not that I don't care, but
it's that the goal's not there. There's no end zone that you're aiming for. So you're able to, at least for me, it's kind of focus on your own work and not feel the pressure of, okay, I need to have a certain amount done, et cetera, et cetera. Galleries and all the shows kind of do that. It's nice because they give you a goal. It's always good to have a goal to aim for, but there is that pressure.
Yeah, and you get work done because of that.
Yeah.
I've got to have 15, 20 paintings by the end of the month, and so you plug away,
and that creeps into your head. It can't help but creep into your head a little bit. And like I said, there's a positive aspect to that, because we're self-employed, fundamentally, and we have to. It helps to aim at something.
Yeah.
But still, you feel a little bit of pressure, and now with the the end zone is a nebulous thing. What am I aiming for? So yeah, you can be a little focus on your work a little differently, be a little selfish in the sense, I guess, but you're still really working really hard on it. It's just that pressure is off a little bit.
Yeah, down just a little bit. And so I think that it will make a positive impact on my work. I think I'll be able to push it a little bit farther and experiment just a little bit longer with each painting.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I hope. We'll see. Oh, hey, there's one of my paintings, Raymond.
Yes. But you really got to do something about your bathroom, maybe a remodel. I'm just saying.
Yeah, looking a little disheveled, is it?
That's a beautiful piece. Tell us something about it, Brian.
Hey, that's in my studio. So where I work, it's an old hotel. It was built in, I think, 1905 or so, and it was that common bathroom European style hotel that had sinks in the rooms and a common bathroom. And so a few of the studios here have the original sink still in it. None of them are operable. Maybe one. There are about 28 studios, and that's in the corner of one of the rooms that I have.
Oh, cool.
And so I played around a little bit with some environments. So as you know, the majority of my work is still life, just objects on a table, a pretty compressed background. And so I took that object and put it in it's a pretty shallow environment, but it was pretty fun to play around with space. And there's another corner in the same room that has a built-in closet, and I did a painting of that in the corner as well. And it was pretty fun. And with the approach of what we were just talking about earlier, on how this COVID-19 era is affecting our work and timeline in relationship to it. This was out of my wheelhouse a little bit, and so it was kind of fun. I wasn't all concerned about it, so I was a little bit freer with the approach to it.
Right,
and I think it lends itself to it in the mark making there compared to my other work.
Yeah, well, and you've also done some sculpting, and that's what we do as artists. We kind of bounce around a little bit, and but it's funny that we're slotted as still life painters, and here's an environmental piece.
Yeah.
How big is that piece, Brian?
I'm going to guess that that's 16 by 12 inches.
It's the oddity of online visualization that when people view our work, they really have, unless you put like a dime next to it, or something like a quarter, they have no idea the scale of our work.
Yeah.
Online.
I'd like to see that as a mural on the side of a 7-foot building.
I think it'd be awesome. It'd be awesome. When you get into your work, I've noticed one of the things about it is there's an intensity to it when you get into the objects. We're object painters in a sense. When you get into the objects, there's an intensity. The last piece showed a little bit more than this, where your knife work or brush work gets nice and heavy, broken up a little bit, and it's almost like we're following your thoughts of like, well, I'm getting into the object and now it's more intense. And then your backgrounds and your foregrounds are beautiful and they're subtle, and so it's like, okay, I'm with you and I'm focusing on your subject. I didn't know if you knew that about the texture, but it's kind of a byproduct of it. It draws you in. You can even see it on this piece. When you get into the bottles, you've got more intense knife work going on.
Yes. Yeah, I build it up with a palette knife. And as Raymond was saying, I have been trying to push that texture element where I'm building it up through the process of changing the color, changing the value of it, and leaving the texture and building on top of it, and playing around with the way that it does lend itself to a spatial element of the object in the environment. And I love how that plays next to the foreground and the background. I think it lends itself well to a spatial relationship to a background, foreground object.
Yeah, the texture does that.
Yeah.
I've noticed it. You know, you've increased it in your work, and it really it draws you in because it looks like, okay, this is where the artist is intensely working on it, and but it's kind of nice because it does give you it's like an added spatial quality. And
Yeah.
I can tell people, just as in my work, if you were to see Brian's piece here in real life, that would be amplified. You would, the texture would be much more obvious. Our work suffers, don't you think, from the photograph? And you know, you want to see this and you want to touch it. Let me tell you, in person, you want to do it more. It's really, it's much more evident in person.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's cool that you noticed that, Raymond, because the next slide that was yes, this one,
right.
That's several years old now, and so you know we're seeing a little bit of an evolution on the paint application. Yeah.
You're seeing the change. You can even in this piece you can see sparks of it.
Yeah, that's where it started, kind of with this. Yeah, I'm guessing that's 9-10 years old now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. The tone on tone, and then you can see, you know, when you photograph this is between artist and artist. When you photograph or have your work photographed, do you have them, or do you use one light source, or do you do the standard 2 light sources?
I have not figured it out yet. That's why I'm a painter, photographer.
Oh, yeah. There's the other one.
Yeah, there's the other one. There's another room environment a little bit that I was playing around with in one of the corners of the studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, look at that. Okay, now you're leaving things out in this, and letting us fill things in. Is this newer?
That's a few years old as well, but
really?
But yeah, leaving information out. It's amazing how little information we need to have something read, and
right.
Our minds fill it in. And I think that there's a lot of wiggle room in the relationship to what that painting is when stuff is left out. If it is buttoned up, you know, photorealistic, the only thing left to marvel is the skill of it, you know?
Yeah.
So that glass jug is just so much fun to paint. It's one of those heavy glass bottles, you know, that's almost too heavy to pick up, those gallon jugs.
Used to get like grape juice and vinegar used to come in those.
Yeah. So it's fun to play around with the subtlety of the green in that bottle, and play with a little bit of complementary color relationships with the red in the table and the yellow in the walls, but not be too overt. You know, subtlety it's where it's at. When you look at something for a long time, the subtlety can really start to grow in its loudness. You know.
Yeah. Well, human beings start filling it in.
Yeah.
It makes them think, and it brings them into the painting.
I'm feeling like this is a couple years old here.
Yeah, it's a couple years old. I did a series of Model A Fords that I saw up when I was visiting my mother, and in contrast to you, I hit the viewer over the head pretty hard. So, but the looseness goes back and forth. It's funny that people talk about the realism of my work, and I don't view my work as realistic at all. I don't view myself as a realist painter.
Why do you say that when you're generating form in your objects?
I know I think it's because when I'm dealing with them, I'm dealing with them in such abstraction. You know, I deal with my work like abstract work. I'm in there. The primary source of my work, or what I'm playing around with, is color. And everything else follows color for me. And I hope it comes out and it looks like a Model A Ford. Everything starts with color for me. And that's been an evolutionary change for me. If you were to go far enough back, you'd see that my colors were much more subtle. You know, when I'm dealing with, like, say, the shadows of the candy or something like that, it is a shadow. I know it's a shadow,
Right.
and I control my values, but I'm dealing with my colors within the shadow.
Yeah.
And that's where it all starts for me.
This is a cool one. How big is this, Raymond?
This is a 16 by 24.
Oh, yeah, little guy.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's a good size, 16 by 24.
It's kind of my good size, where if I feel like I want to address a painting and not have it wipe me out, but still really experiment with my colors, the 16 by 24 is kind of a good groove for me. When I go really big,
is really nice.
When I go really big, they're tough. Thanks.
Yeah, it's really nice. And so I'm curious about your process. When you start this, how tight or loose is the beginning stage, the first stage? How do you lay it in?
The first stage is really loose, and this is a borderline piece as to whether or not I have a drawing underneath. I didn't draw at all, like a charcoal drawing. I used to not draw at all, but then when I got into larger pieces, like say a 5-foot piece, I found I had to draw.
Yeah.
Because of time. But when I call this kind of the groove size, because you're right on the cusp where I can just start painting and just start doing what I call knocking it in.
Groove size.
And
down.
it's the groove size. And I call it that because I may not necessarily need a drawing, which means I can just start throwing it down. And then, like I said, I develop it in the abstract. The cellophane and all that is just abstract to me. And I'm introducing my colors and controlling my values. My work completely falls apart, by the way, if I don't hold my values.
So your texture also is getting thicker and thicker over time. And is that because of your decisions changing it, the drawing, the color, the value as you go, and you're working just on top of each other? Or does it pretty much, once it's blocked in, it stays right there, and then you're building on top of it in position?
Well, my work moves around a lot. I tell people, everybody's like, well, you wake up in the morning and you go out to the studio and you want to paint really thick, right? That's your goal. And it's like, no, the thickness is a byproduct. It's a byproduct of me pushing my colors back and forth. And I tend to just, because I'm wet into wet, I tend to just lay it on top. Yeah. It's kind of like icing, really thick icing on a cake. And instead of scraping and manipulating, I just keep moving. And the decisions are just firing off. Sometimes the decisions are color. Very often they're value decisions. But yeah, I just keep laying it on.
I like the color play on this.
Yeah, if you look along the bottom, that was an insane thing to paint. And it changed a lot.
Yeah.
As it was growing and as the whole piece developed. Everything's relative, so that also changes your values and your colors. But the bottom of this, I vaguely remember my insanity.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, it's such great subject matter, and I love, a reflective cylinder, how you're playing around with the reflective nature of the gradation of the sky going up, how that's changing in the top half of the airstream, and then the bottom going into the foreground is such a pleasing visual experience, man. This is good. Yeah.
I bring, I amplify that and bring that, to the piece. People are like, oh, you paint chrome and you paint glass, and it's like, you paint it so realistically. And I'm like, you got no idea. I mean, I have altered this like you would not believe. I mean, I paint glass.
Believe it, man. Hey, I'm with you.
Yeah, and it's like, that's who I am. If I didn't do that, it would just be anybody's painting of an airstream.
Yeah.
So that's Raymond, that the thing that you see with the subtle gradations and the turning of the form and all that. I bring that, and along with my color. And if I didn't do that, I really don't see what the point would be. And so hopefully you can identify my work.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. You've got definitely a voice here. Okay, so this is buttoned up a little bit more, and I like it, man. This, yeah, I like your the abstract nature of the placement and everything. Like
Yeah,
the color.
yeah, this is, I was working on the bathroom sink.
Yeah.
So I pulled the hot handle off. But yeah, this is, you know, when you look at chrome, it dictates certain things to you, just like glass. And you got to look at that and then be informed by it, but then you modify it.
Yeah.
And so when I'm working in these areas, again, I'm working in the abstract, and I don't sit there and look so literally at the piece. You know, you kind of go insane when you do that. And you start, for me, I stop being able to see the object anyways, when I focus on it too intensely. So I work in the abstract and back up, bring the values together and hope that it looks like something. This is a carburetor from a 38 Ford.
Hey, do you have a mirror behind you?
When I paint?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, just like Brian, I drop things in and out. You know, you make decisions as an artist, and that's what hopefully helps identify your work. Like Brian's work is extremely identifiable, but I drop a lot out. I also bring a lot in. When I'm looking at something and I want to experiment with colors or reflections, I'll bring things in. Like on this piece, there's that beautiful deco design down the side. It didn't necessarily look like that. You know, I wanted to bring up some value shifts. I wanted to stage some of my color work differently. So I amplified certain intensities, and then I kind of dulled certain things. And yeah, I very often drop things out in a different manner than Brian. That's for sure. Like I was joking in the beginning, I beat people over the head with my work. Yeah, I drop things in and out. There's another one of my movie cameras. I painted this because I thought the telescope thing on the top was cool.
This is cool how the object and the background and the environment are pretty close.
Yeah, you know, and I don't know why I chose to do that. And also, you know, when I work with my backgrounds, and again, this is kind of thrown off by the picture. My work doesn't photograph well, but the subtleties and the tonal shifts in the background are so important to me. I am obsessed with tonality.
Yeah.
And reds are a nightmare. Reds, yellows, they're a nightmare. And for some reason, I kept this in a similar family and similar hues, where I very often do that play off of complementary colors. This one I decided to go with the red. I think a lot of it just had to do with the challenge to make it work. You know, I like it to be challenging. If it's not challenging, there's not much of a point either. So this was a very challenging piece to do. But the background's a little bit more broken up than it is in real life. The value shifts in the background are very, very subtle. And again, that's my value shift. You know, I look at it, I study it intensely, and then I change it. I change the way the light works.
So on the photograph on this, what we were saying, you're saying the contrast is exaggerated just a hair because of the quality of the photograph?
Yeah, a little bit, especially like the blues and the greens against the reds. The blues are, to me, at least on my monitor, and the greens are they're screaming a little bit.
Yeah, there's contrast, but I like the buzz. It resonates nicely though.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, I like it. And yeah, you're right. It is difficult to photograph. Kid, this is a cool one, man. Look at this one.
Yeah, I stole this pencil sharpener from my wife, hence the title of the piece. But
it's called what?
Another of Jay's pencil sharpeners. I've been using this forced perspective a lot, you know, where I'm taking some of the perspective away from me, and you know, perspective's a great tool. And so on some of these pieces, I take it away from my toolbox.
When you say take it away, you're talking about you're putting stuff at eye level?
Yeah, if you notice, you know, you'll notice this, but not everybody does. If the human was standing in the middle, you wouldn't see as much as of what's on the right, the back. You're seeing what's on the back of the pencil sharpener. Some of that would be gone.
Right.
The way the human eye works. And what I like to do is I like to tweak it and eliminate some of that perspective. It also makes it more challenging because in the end, you know, it still has to read. And I very often take the tool of perspective away from myself and see if I can still pull it off.
That's a dynamite piece, Raymond. I like it.
Thank you.
I like the color combination of the yellow and the turquoise. I think that's a great combo.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Thank you very much.